So, you hear about crypto airdrops all the time, right? Is it really just free money falling from the sky? Or is there something more going on? Today, we're going to cut through all that hype and just look at the hard numbers behind some of the biggest giveaways the crypto world has ever seen. Because these aren't just tokens, they're huge economic events that can totally shape a project's future, build a community out of thin air, and really signal what a project is all about. Let's see what the data tells us.
It's a pretty simple question, right? But the answer, well, it reveals a ton about a project's strategy and how serious they are about their community. So what's the actual benchmark for a truly massive airdrop? And what can these numbers teach us about the whole ecosystem? Let's dig in.
All right, to figure this out, we're going to look at a leaderboard of some of crypto's heaviest hitters, and we're going to measure them by one super important metric: the percentage of the total token supply they just gave away to their early users and community.
And here it is. Take a second and just look at this chart. What you're seeing is a visual breakdown of some of the most talked about airdrops out there, all ranked by that percentage. Over on the left, you've got the smaller but still really significant players. And as your eyes move to the right, you can see those numbers just start to climb. This chart tells a really fascinating story.
Okay, let's start over on the left side. This first group, they're giving away anywhere from, say, 7% to 13% of their supply. This is a pretty common and honestly a respectable starting point for an airdrop. It's definitely enough to get people talking and reward those early believers without, giving away the entire farm right from the get-go.
And you see some real heavy hitters in this zone. You've got SCR at 7%, the big decentralized exchange DYDX at 7.5%, and even a massive layer 2 like Arbitrum coming in hot at almost 13%. These aren't small-time projects, not at all. They're setting a solid baseline for what a successful, and maybe a little more conservative, airdrop looks like. But that's just the warm-up act. As we start moving up the leaderboard, we get into what most people in crypto would call the very generous category. These are the projects that have set a seriously high bar for community distribution. And this is where you find some of the absolute legends. Uniswap, a true DeFi giant, gave away 15% in an airdrop that basically wrote the playbook for everyone else. ApeCoin, for the whole Bored Ape ecosystem, also 15%. Then you have another major layer 2, Optimism, pushing that envelope all the way to 19%. This range right here, this seems to be the gold standard for a top-tier launch. Now, you might think that nearly 20% is the ceiling, but nope. Some projects decided to push the boundaries way, way farther. As we get to the far right of our chart, you start seeing projects hitting the 25% to 30% range. I mean, that is just raising the stakes for everyone else. And all of that brings us to a really interesting case study on this chart. After seeing this whole spectrum of strategies, we've now arrived at a project that basically stands in a category of its own. After all those numbers, after all those famous projects setting the standard, we come to PLRL. 35%. Let that sink in for a second. When you compare that to the 7 or 15 or even the 19% we were just talking about, it's obvious this number represents a completely different philosophy for a token launch. Just look at the chart again. I mean, you can't miss it, can you? That dark orange bar for PLRL is just towering over almost everything else we've looked at. This isn't just a little bit more. It's a massive statement about how much of the project's ownership is being put directly into the community's hands from day one. So what does a number that big actually mean for the crypto space? Is PLRL setting a new, way more aggressive benchmark for how projects should launch? And what does this level of community distribution signal about its long-term vision? Well, to put it into its final context, that 35% airdrop makes PLRL one of the largest token distributions we have ever seen. On this chart, it's second only to Jupe, which sits at the very top with an absolutely mind-blowing 40% allocation. This puts PLRL in a very, very exclusive club of projects that have made an enormous bet on their communities from the jump. See, at the end of the day, this isn't just about one project's airdrop. It's about understanding the different strategies at play in the crypto world. By comparing an outlier like PLRL to the established giants, we get a much clearer picture of this evolving landscape and how projects are trying to signal their commitment to a decentralized future. Which really leaves us with a critical question for the future of crypto. When you see a number like 35%, is it just a powerful marketing move to grab attention in a super crowded market? Or does a bigger airdrop truly signal a stronger, more genuine commitment to building a project that's actually owned by its community? The answer could shape the next wave of launches for the entire industry. What do you think?